What is up, everybody? It is the True Epic Gamer here, back with another UFO 50 guide. This time we're going to be going over Velgress, but with the cherry ending. For those of you guys who don't know what the cherry ending is, essentially in every UFO 50 game, there is a normal way to beat it, and then there's a difficult cherry way to beat it. Once you beat the game, normally it will tell you how to get the cherry ending, or at least give you some sort of hint. Now, the first thing that I want to mention is that I did make a very in-depth, almost 10-minute guide on how to beat Velgress, and I would recommend watching that first because I'm going to skip over a lot of the little tips and tricks that I gave in that video, just because most of you already seen that video, and even if you didn't, you probably already beat Velgress the normal way. With that being said, let's go ahead and dive right into the basics of how to unlock this secret ending. On each of the first 3 levels, you're going to notice this bird is going to fly down right at about the halfway point, and you're just going to want to shoot the crap out of him until he drops a key. And you'll see on the top right of the screen, once he drops that key and you go pick it up, it will appear there, so you'll be able to see which keys you got, and hopefully you didn't miss any. Because by the end of the first 3 levels, you will need to have obtained all 3 keys in order to unlock the secret final level. Once again, I can't stress enough that if you didn't watch my guide to Velgress, normally I would highly recommend it, just because I'm going to give a lot of tips in that video on how to get through these levels easier, which can just help you overall with the game. But the number one thing I can mention for killing these birds, and the number one difference in what you're going to buy in a normal run versus a secret ending run, is that you're going to want to get the power upgrade to make your gun stronger. It's going to make it much easier to take out those birds a lot quicker, normally making it where the first bird is actually the hardest to get just because your gun is so weak. Now, as you guys are about to see, once you reach the end with all 3 keys, it'll say you unlocked the final level. Once again, I want to emphasize that in a normal Velgress run, upgrading the power of your gun is not very useful. However, for this run, specifically for the secret ending, it is extremely useful, not only to take out the birds, but because there is a final boss, and the same can be said with the lightning ability. I still did not purchase it just because I'm not a huge fan. However, I will say it will help tremendously with the final boss. The main issue with that information is that the double jump is so vital to every Velgress run that it makes it really difficult to buy lightning just because it costs 20 coins. Now, before we jump right into how to beat the final boss, let's talk about how to beat the final level. As you guys can see, the final level has some new obstacles in your way. These drones fly left and right. They're not much of a threat at all, except when you're fighting the final boss himself. But notice you can jump on top of their heads, so I would recommend doing that as much as you need to. You guys probably also noticed that these blocks are new, these silver blocks with the orange dot in the middle. These are essentially trip mines. If you stand on them or shoot them, they'll end up exploding. So they're really not too much of a threat, just make sure you don't stand on top of them for too long. You guys should be familiar with everything else in the level. There's nothing else new other than the final boss himself. What I want you guys to pay attention to in this run is how I'm trying to shoot him as much as I possibly can, and that causes me to destroy a lot of these clouds. That being part of the reason that I think lightning could be extremely useful here, as well as obviously upgrading your attack power as much as you possibly can. Now, let's take a closer look at what the final boss actually does. You notice he has his hands out to his sides and he'll push them down and fire lightning. So what I recommend is when you're attacking the final boss, try and stay directly in the middle and just shoot him in the head over and over again. And whenever you're not attacking him, just try and stay as far away as possible. You'll also notice that out of his head, his giant eye, he fires out a single little red projectile. This is usually pretty easy to dodge and doesn't cause much of a problem. And you'll notice that I take him out relatively quickly after I upgraded my attack power. And as you guys can see, that's all there is to it. You now beat Velgress with the cherry ending. Now, I know this video was a little bit quick and I didn't go quite as in detail as the last guide, but that's just because I didn't want to keep repeating myself on stuff that I already mentioned in the normal video. But the number one tip I can give you guys for Velgress as a whole is just to slow down and remember that you control the pace of the game. Even though the floors are crumbling underneath you, even though that spike roller is underneath you just waiting to crush you, just remember that the screen does not move up unless you move up. Keep that in mind the whole time. Try and think about your next move, think about where you're going to go, and just take it easy. And for those of you guys who don't know about this really cool Easter egg at the end of the credits, if you pay attention, the very last thing on the credits right here, it says Alpha Best. If you go in your pause menu, you go to the terminal and you type that in, you will actually unlock an alternate version of Velgress where you start with all the items. It's a really cool Easter egg and it's really fun to do after you've already beaten the game. That's all the information I got for you guys today. I hope this guide was helpful. Let me know in the comments down below what games you guys want to see next. Drop a like if this guide did help you. Hope you guys have a great rest of your day. And as always, peace.